to the Hallmarkies podcast. Hi, Hallmarkies. My name is Cami. I am the Hook Tardy, and I am here with my lovely co-host, Kari.
Hi, everybody.
And this is so exciting because this is my very first podcast with the lovely Bree Hill. Hi, Bree.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you too. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, we are so excited too, because this is like going to be the beginning of a brand new friendship.
I know. I
I
mean, we've been talking for like
friendship.
We've been chatting for like 10 minutes and I'm like, I just want to take them for coffee so we can talk about movies.
Right. I would love that.
All of you Hallmarkies out there, Bree has officially joined the Hallmarkies podcast. So you are going to be seeing a whole lot more of her. And we get to have our very first episode with her. So much fun.
Yeah.
All right. This is a big one. We are going to be covering not one, not two, but 3 movies in this recap. We are covering the One Winter Trilogy. That's what I'm calling it.
Okay. Is that the official title? The One Winter Trilogy? I think that is.
Well, it's the Hooked Hardy official title. Okay. And so therefore it is official.
We're sticking with it. It's a
Let's
thing.
do it.
We'll stick with
it. That's my notes.
Write it in ink.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so first of all, overall, as a trilogy, what do you guys think?
Yeah, you know what? As a trilogy, I really like it because I like the characters of Ben and Kara so much. And then, of course, Sean and, oh, goodness, her name.
Megan.
Thank you. And Megan, Sean and Megan. I just like them as like this foursome, this group of friends. They really developed their friendship as couples really well. And then as, you know, the 2 guys and the 2 girls. And so as a trilogy, I just like it because I wanted to go deeper into their stories. And we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bree?
Yeah, I really liked it overall. Like you said, I really loved the friendship element. I loved the scene seeing in all 3 movies, we get moments of Kara and Megan like getting dressed and going out, and then seeing Sean and Ben hanging out or talking, you know, over FaceTime and stuff like that. So we really got to see how important their like previous like friendship, like lifelong relationships are, and then how those dynamics were together. And I really liked it. At first I was like, do we need a trilogy for this? But it worked. It worked.
Right. That's always a good question though. You know, do we need a trilogy? Does this add to what I thought of them before?
The first movie really stood strong on its own, I think. So I was like a little nervous, but I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
As a trilogy, I am fond of these movies. One thing that I love is just when you think you know them so well, then another surprise comes up. And another element is added to their characters. Another element is added to their history. For instance, in the first movie, we find out that Kara and Megan have been best friends since college. But in One Perfect Wedding, we find out that they have been best friends since at the latest the summer after 8th grade.
Oh, yeah.
But because they were best friends and Kara made her that bracelet, I'm guessing that they were probably best friends way before that. So that was one of my favorite things about it, is just when you thought you knew everything about it, then you get another surprise. Okay, next question. Which movie out of the 3 is your favorite? Kari?
Yes, I think it's the first one. I mean, it's got to be the first one for me. Like you said, Bree, it's on its own, a standalone. It's a great movie. You know, just we're going to talk a little bit more about it, so I'll save some reasons why. But that would be the first one for me.
Okay, Bree.
Interesting. My favorite's the second.
I love that. Why?
There was something so much, it was just really fun. The second movie was a lot of fun. And like rewatching the first one, I was reminded of something that like I tend to get bothered by, and that's the whole like journalist,
Oh
the
yeah.
boss that steps in and
Yeah.
does the thing. And I'm just like, oh, this is the first time I watched that first movie years ago, I was like, oh no, like
Yeah.
this really bothers me. But then I loved the second one.
You're right. They definitely did have that boss that stepped in and like kind of caused havoc, right? Wreaked havoc a little bit with that
Yeah.
article. Okay, I see. I get it. Good point.
Favorite one for me. This must be because we're both from Texas, because my favorite was the second one. I am a sucker for a continuing story. When a movie ends with the first kiss, it actually makes me a little sad, because I used to have, I wouldn't go as far as to say fantasies, but when You've Got Mail first came out, and they're apart the entire movie, and then they come together at the very end. Don't even get me started on Sleepless in Seattle, but
that's my favorite movie.
I love it, but they have so little time together.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so when they come together on You've Got Mail, the first kiss is in the last 5 seconds of the movie. Yeah. And I used to think back to one of the lines that Joe Fox says, I would have asked for your number. And I would have said, what about coffee or drinks or dinner? And the only thing we would argue about was what movie to rent on Saturday night. And I said, what would that look like?
Yeah.
What would that relationship look like when he shows up at her door with flowers, knocks on the door, she opens it, they say hi and kiss, and he comes in and they have a movie to rent, and they pop some popcorn and sit on the couch and cuddle. Yeah. I was like, I want to see that.
Did you catch the Sleepless in Seattle, like the little tidbit in the third movie?
Which thing?
Where Megan was like, they're like talking on the phone or something, and Kara says something to Megan, and Megan says, oh, I've seen that movie, I know how it ends. And I was like, is this a sleep? Because they're from Seattle, right? I'm like, is this a Sleepless in Seattle pun? Okay.
Maybe.
So are you enjoying now that in some of these movies now that we're getting, they kiss like halfway through? Are you enjoying the halfway through kiss?
Girl, I say yes every single time. And if there's not a midway movie kiss, I say, what's the problem with you people?
I really am enjoying that. I'm actually enjoying that they would like finish a kiss. We heard one of the writers, Nina Weinman. Yes. She said one time, if they are both single, if they are both, like if they're both interested in, why not let them finish a kiss? Why all these interruptions? And so she was saying that the culture of the Hallmark writers was changing that way. Why not let them kiss? And I love that. I thought that was such a great insight.
When Ben comes up behind Kara and scares her with a noisemaker, and then immediately they kiss each other hello, I just went, okay, I'm gonna love this movie.
You love it finishing. That's fun. That's fun. Okay, that's cool. I love that first one though.
Well, let's get into that first one.
Okay.
So yes, go for it.
Yeah.
Go, Kari. Go.
I mean, I love the introduction of these two friends, both of them just trying to get away, they're so busy at work. And so they're trying to get away. They love snowboarding and then they rent this chalet. They're so excited for a girls' weekend. And all of a sudden there's this mix up and they have to share this chalet with this other group of friends, these two guys. And two of them are mad about it. Two of them are kind of into it. And I love that, this animosity right away, this that Kara and Ben feel for each other, and they have to like get to know each other, and then they start to really genuinely like each other, and but there's some mystery there. I don't know. I think it's a really fun, it sets it up in a really fun way to me. What did you guys think about the chalet mix-up thing? Are you like, oh, this again? Or do you just like, can you dive into that?
I mean, it's a trope. It's a trope of stuck together. The fact that there was not a single thing available, I was kind of, what is that? But
Nothing.
yes, that is totally plausible that nothing else would be available. And that's why they only could book half a chalet, and then they just didn't read the fine print. But I think my favorite part was the reactions. Like you said, Kari, just the, oh, we gotta fix this on Kara and Ben's part. And then, Ben goes over to Sean and, I sort of messed up. and then he goes, it's all good. The more the merrier. I mean, it's a huge bummer given our messed up guys weekend and all. Cool. So is that Cabernet? I mean, I love Sean. And the other thing is, then Megan jumps in a few minutes later and says, there is a really nice deck out front. Maybe we should. And Sean just picks right up on that cue. You can immediately see the connection between Megan and Sean. Like, yes, let's just take this party out front. And they're immediately established as the peacemakers. They're the ones that are going to keep these two other very passionate people level-headed, and that was it. Just that they are the ones that force them to calm down. So I really, really liked that dynamic.
Yeah, I really liked how they balanced, like they gave us just enough of both. We know that we're following Kara and Ben, but then they give us enough where you're like, I want to follow more of Megan and Sean too. But like their story, I felt never really overshadowed the other two. And as far as the chalet, I love when you're watching those Hallmark movies where it's like fate is just determined to put these two together. And it may not be believable to some people, but us like Hallmark lovers, romance lovers, were like, oh, this is just fate having its way.
They have to do it. They have to work it through. See, I love that. So what was so funny to me about these couples, not the couples, the friend group. So Kara and Megan, like how they vacation together was very casual. They didn't have to be together every minute. Like, oh, I'm going to go over here and do this. Okay, sure. Well, I'm going to go do this. And that was really the second time that I watched it through, or third or fourth, I don't know how many times, but I noticed that because I was like, oh, wow. When you go on vacation with someone, in my mind, it's like, what are we doing now? Well, where are we going then? And you're together all the time because you decide to vacation together. But not them. They didn't.
I liked that too. I was like, they really aren't even together that much, but they're so comfortable with each other that they don't have to be.
Well, and the guys too. The guys were kind of cool doing their own thing, and Sean didn't want to do anything that even resembled work.
Right.
and I love when he said, "I slept in." It's 8 a.m. 8 a.m. is like noon for a surgeon.
Yes. That was the other thing. They really set them all up with very interesting jobs and goals and success. Like they all had success in different ways. And one entrepreneurial work, that he did with his snowboards, Ben, the surgeon, Sean, she was an admin, but then she worked her way up, Megan, through this magazine company and another one. And then Kara with her writing and setting goals for books. I mean, I thought that was really fun too, just to see all of them as successful singles, and
I loved how Kara kept reminding Megan, because Megan was like doing all these interviews and she's like, why aren't you applying for the job? Like you already do the job. And I was like, sometimes it takes an outside person to be like, you can do this.
Yes.
And I just loved seeing that like supportive support, that support coming from her.
Yeah.
I also really loved how, because you can obviously tell that Kara and Ben are the creative ones, because the other two have more of the business-like type jobs. You got a surgeon, which I hope you don't get creative with being a surgeon. Unless you get creative with saving someone's life,
Right.
And an assistant, she goes and does what she's told. She has more of the business side for the job. Kara and Ben are the more creative ones, and I think that's why the two of them fall in love. But they were creative in their own rights and in their own areas, which made them similar, but not too much alike. I love when Ben said, innovation has taken a backseat to image. When he talked about the idea for a groove in the helmet for a ponytail, he said, that's something that my company 10 years ago would have jumped on. But now innovation has taken a backseat to image. Yeah. And, Ben content to stay in and read because he's laying low.
Right.
I love what he's
of their company. Right.
Right. And I said, it's this new author I found. She's becoming one of my favorites. I'm like, oh, smooth move, man. Yeah. Smooth move. Because he's creative. We already saw him with an Agatha Christie novel, and that don't tell me. So we already know he's creative. We already know that he's innovative and that he likes to create and all of that. And so being paired up with Kara, and that the two of them can toss ideas about their perspective areas back and forth, that really gave me a lot of respect for the writers, in that they established credence. Because when you think about it, you're talking about people who fell in love in 2 days. Right. Which can feel far-fetched, except if you're a hopeless romantic. No comment. But it really gave credence because they spent a lot of time together.
Right. Yeah. And they already had an interest in the other one's work. The other one made a vocation of, she was already a snowboarder, so she could talk shop with him, although it was in more of a hobby type of way. He already was a mystery reader. He loves mysteries. And so he could encourage her and have a valued opinion, on what she wrote. So that establishing that was pretty cool. I liked that.
Okay. Let's go to the smoldering glance, because let's be honest, people, that's one of the reasons why we're here. To have a man who looks like Ben Livingston look at you the way he looked at Kara, I wouldn't mind.
It was hot.
Yeah.
It was.
But that's it. Like it felt so genuine. There was a connection underneath it, which was really, really precious to me, because sometimes someone gives a hot look because they're supposed to give a hot look, but this one, you feel that connection, that undercurrent. So when she comes out in that dress and he's like, oh, that you feel that connection. So that it's fun.
I felt it. And then when the end happened, when the craziness happens towards the end, I was like, oh, he's really hurt, because that look he gave her earlier.
Yes.
I felt it.
Did you guys notice that in this movie, they don't match? She has a green dress. He has a blue tie. And we'll get more into this in a second, but in One Winter Proposal, he's in a blue suit and a blue tie, and she's in a blue dress.
Oh.
And I just said, oh my goodness, is this done on purpose? If it is, good on the costume department,
That's fun.
But I think one of my favorite parts in that whole auction scene was when when Ben said, "Who was he?" And she tries to deny it, and then okay, yes, there was a guy, and then well, whoever he was, I should thank him for what? For whatever he did to lose you. I'm like, oh, be still my heart. My husband has said that a million times, and it never ceases to make my heart jump. He said, what are you talking about? Why should I be mad at that guy? He said, no, his loss is my gain. Like,
yeah.
Fabulous.
We love to hear it.
So cute.
I love that. So wait, okay, so here's one thing that I really appreciate about this movie.
Okay.
We're all ready for the betrayal. We're all ready to storm off into the winter, and leave this some things unspoken, and then the power goes out. And then
Girl, that is just what I was gonna say. I love how in sync we are.
I love it.
It's faked.
It will not let them leave the chalet.
Yeah.
But I love that actually about this movie. I'm like, yes, make them sit there and talk it through,
well, because in so many other movies, they don't.
Yeah.
They part because of a childish misunderstanding, or they mishear something and they don't check their facts, and nothing's holding them back. And so they do leave.
Yeah.
But they, she gives them the whole dating rule number 1, never leave abruptly. Okay, I deserve that.
Right.
And then my publicist got upset when that picture of us went viral. He said the best thing would be for me to just leave. So it wasn't your idea? I'm like, never would have found that out if you had stormed off.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that I really appreciate that about this movie and this writing, and let us talk it through like adults, and then you're coming together at the end is a lot more real to me and a lot more genuine, and I can celebrate it more.
I loved the I was wrong. The I was wrong, Ben. I loved it. I was like, you were wrong, Ben. This was the cutest grovel ever.
I have one grouse. He didn't put a time. They never specify a time.
Oh.
Because I was wrong. Meet me at our cafe.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that is precious, but when?
Like
when
I
is
make
she
my
supposed
kids
to show up?
But it's like I make my kids and they're like, say, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. And everyone's like, sorry for what? Like name the thing you're sorry for, right? So that means a lot when someone does that.
I remember thinking, like, rewatching it, she shows up, like he's standing there, his back's to her, and you see her come in, and I was like, how did she know to show up at this time? Because he never told her when.
Oh my gosh, I misunderstood that. You're right. A time, like come and meet at that. Oh, I thought you meant like I was wrong for this one thing.
Time.
It works. I've heard it both ways. No, I'm kidding. So true. How did she know what time? Okay, Bree, go for it. Sorry, finish your rep.
Oh, I was just like, how did she know to show up right now? But it was beautiful. I was able to forgive it because like the lighting was perfect.
It was perfect. Well, and then he does the best groveling job without using his British accent. So, I mean, when someone can grovel that well and not even use his accent that we all find very attractive, then he's doing something right. I know I'm sorry won't cut it. You could always try it out. Like, not giving him an inch. Good girl.
And that cafe, I feel like is something Bree would find and go read at that cafe, right?
Absolutely. I was like, I love that there's books all over the place and coffee. What a romantic setting.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of which, we end on, can I ask you on a real date? We are in the romance section.
So smooth. So
very smooth. He had a setback with jumping to conclusions, but for that line, we forgive him.
Yes. It was a great start.
Moving on to One Winter Proposal. Oh gosh. Okay, I know that we are going to get to this, but can I just say that this was probably the best small screen proposal I have ever seen outside of When Calls the Heart.
Yeah.
When Calls the Heart, Hallmarkies, if you haven't watched that proposal, it's in season 4. You won't get all of the nuances, which is one of the best parts. He uses history. He uses their history together to ask her to marry him, which is just so romantic. But that is something that Ben did. Yeah. He used their mutual love of books. Mm-hmm. He used secrecy, because even though he couldn't surprise her in all aspects, he still managed to surprise her in some ways. And that guy thought of everything. Yeah. And then just under the archway of roses. Just, oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna faint. This has got to be the best proposal that I have seen in a movie on the small screen. It was just, it could not have been more perfect.
It was very sweet, which is good that it lived up to its name, One Winter Proposal. It needed to be a big scene, a showstopper.
It better have been good.
Yeah. So just everything from like bringing her a dress. I thought that was so cute. Although I would not want that to happen, by the way, to me.
Good thing you're married.
Yeah. So bringing her a dress, setting it all up, being secretive, which is kind of something she had against him a little bit, like
she did.
If she had one thing against him, it would be the secret thing. Let's plan things together. Let's do things together. And I started thinking, girl, you benefit from every one of his big secrets. Like, I don't know what your problem is.
But like, I think it was more so in the next movie, but I was like, I feel, because that was one thing my husband and I had to work through. He was the kind of guy of like, if I feel like you need to know, I'll tell you. And I'm like, I just want to be part of the decision making, and I want to. So I kind of felt her on that, but I was like, it must be that like mystery writer in her, like daughter of a detective. She wants to be in the know.
Yes.
With the third movie, I totally agree. With the second movie, if I had known that my husband was going to propose, I think for me personally, it would have ruined the moment. I wanted it to be a surprise. I didn't want to know it was coming. I didn't even want to really pick out my ring. I wanted him to surprise me with everything. So I found the ring that I wanted with my mom. And so I said, okay, you tell him.
Okay, so for this movie, this One Winter Proposal, we kind of all know what's coming. They're going back to Clara Lake.
Yeah.
And then I was actually surprised, though. She finds this receipt in his jacket.
Right.
And I was like, oh, is this how they're going to do it? This whole movie, she's going to anticipate it. But that became kind of some points of humor for her to anticipate. And you could see her getting ready for like, oh, we're doing it here, type of thing. And he never did, And
then he pulls out the helmet.
Right.
With the ponytail holder.
I thought she'd be more excited about it.
Poor girl.
I think that's what I loved about the proposal when it actually happened, because the buildup was just so good all throughout the movie, because she's saw this receipt. So she's like anticipating that it's coming. And then every time they sit down and she thinks it's happening, it's not. And then he's read the book. And so he's like, are we based off the characters? The characters don't end up together. Is that us? And Sean's like, dude, it's a book.
Right.
That's what I want to tell him. Like, dude, it's a book.
Okay, wait. How did you feel about Megan and Sean losing contact over that year? Like they were in the same city. It was missed, missed calls, unanswered emails, or, just missed opportunities. And they just kind of didn't meet up.
It was worth it to see them look at each other completely awkwardly and clink glasses on New Year's Eve with everyone kissing.
Everybody kissing. It made me think about how in the first movie, because they're at the bookstore at the same time, but they don't know who each other are in like the first movie in a scene.
Right.
And it was just like a reminder of how like they had to be removed from their day-to-day life to find each other, even though their paths have probably crossed multiple times.
Yeah.
And it just kind of showed in the second movie how I don't want to say like you have to leave your life and the things that you do for it to work, but like I think if you want to make it work, you're going to figure out how to make it work. But like, especially in the second movie, Megan was so career focused.
She was. Yeah.
So much.
And I mean, that was cool to see, but I was like, okay, you're going to have to, I hate to see when the Hallmark heroines have to like give up their career for love, but I'm like, you're going to have to like meet him
right
in the middle.
Right.
So ordinarily I would be upset that they just lost it over that year. But, you know, I don't think it happened immediately because we're talking a year later.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it gave them a place to grow.
Yeah.
You know, it gave them a chance to grow because they were the strong ones in the first movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now Kara and Ben are the strong ones in a solid relationship. And so it gave Sean and Megan a chance to grow. And you know, it's just when Sean says, I was afraid you were going to spend the weekend playing matchmaker with fictional characters. Nope, just you and Megan.
It did provide a nice way to give them a fresh start, kind of like let's focus on them, like a fresh start here for them without introducing brand new characters and brand new friends, you know. So that was good.
And then my heart broke when she's like, he's moving. I was like,
oh
no, we just like reconnected and now he's gone or he's leaving.
I think the other thing that having them come back together did is it allowed their friendships to help each other. You know, because things are still awkward between Sean and Megan. They're definitely not awkward with Kara and Ben.
Yeah.
You know, they're not awkward at all. But since things are still awkward, they're still going to spend time in their friendships, not just the romantic relationships.
Right.
You know, so when Ben and Sean are in the sauna, and he says, I can't believe I fought with Kara over fictional characters.
Yeah.
And that is a classic line. And it reminds me so much of today. Moving on. But Sean was able to say, the Ben Livingston I know, 2 canceled meetings, he'd take his business elsewhere. And it gave Ben something to think about. If Sean had been all lovey-dovey and totally into Megan and didn't want to do anything with Ben, then it would have been harder to get that, you know, because Kara had things to say and Sean had things to say to him, and they both helped him grow. And and it was just fun to watch them play matchmaker. You know, when like, Ethan, your girlfriend, she works at the magazine, right? And no, she's a teacher.
She's a teacher.
Right? Ethan has a girlfriend who's a teacher. Oh dear, please just stop now.
I know, they were so cute.
It was so blatantly obvious that that's what they were trying to do.
I know.
I was like, we're not even going to try to like sugarcoat it.
Nope.
I loved it. That was fun. I did though. You're right. I did kind of gasp when he with the proposal and the books that he used and the, you know, just to build into her encouragement and support. I mean, what a sweet guy. I mean, so sweet.
Yeah.
And just
genuine. It was genuine to them.
Yes.
It was very genuine to them, and probably, and I mean, the best line that he that she said is, you got one thing wrong. What? He's looking around. What did I do? What's missing? Like, you surprise me every day with how wonderful you are.
Oh.
And all of these things mixed in together, starting from the very beginning when he comes up behind her and surprises her and kisses her, and then says, Kara, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
And all of these incredible, wonderful things, driving 40 miles to get that ring size so she wouldn't find out about it. Just going completely out of his way to be romantic with her. He has been wonderful the entire movie. And it only makes sense that she would acknowledge that and that it would surprise her every day, because he does something new every day to show just how much he loves her. And I'm going to cry now because it's so cute.
What they did was they built into this romance without being too sappy, or too yucky. Like, honestly,
yucky, Kari. Yucky. What?
Yucky. No, but that's a tiny bit of a critique I have against Aurora Teagarden and her fiance, Nick Miller. Because they're so sappy, and he kisses her and she's like, see how good you are at comforting me. And she literally said that in the movie. And I was like, that's a mood killer. So I was like, what? But this one is so much better. Like they just play in. sorry, Cami. But it's better. It's like genuine relationship, genuine compliments, genuine foundations that they're building together. And so you don't mind their little sap. You want it. You want to see that.
I thought it was cute. I just think it's fun because he's such a good guy, and here she is sleuthing the whole time for no reason.
You make a really, really good point, because that was one thing that I was afraid would happen in this movie, is that there was going to be some really ridiculous reason that they were going to call off the wedding, or they were going to postpone, not call off the wedding, but he was going to decide not to propose. That everything's going to turn out all right in the end. But they had tiffs, yes, because any couple who is committed to each other is going to argue. If a couple does not argue about something, then somebody's lying. That's my philosophy. Somebody is lying, that if you agree on everything all the time. But they supported each other. They helped each other. The drama, for the most part, they had their tiffs, but their drama was outside.
Right.
It was fighting against his lost opportunities, and him trying to figure out how to get this investor to help and to get the investor to listen to him. And she runs up all excited with her new slogan, everyone starts somewhere. She doesn't take credit for it. She just immediately gives it to him out of love, and she doesn't want to, and she wants him to have all of it and all the glory. And then, I mean, the idea to have Porter's wife come down the hill on a charmed board, which, I mean, it makes me think that even I could go down on a charmed board, hearing how good it is,
she basically sealed the deal for him.
She does. Absolutely. And that was all Kara's idea. I mean, Ben didn't even know what she was doing, but he trusted her, and she gave all the glory. And then it's just so cute when the two of them walk in and they go to their prospective guys and hug them. I was like, okay, that's just adorable.
We really got to see how they complement each other, because it was that movie, right? Was it the second movie where her book is coming out and Megan's magazine, the girls reviewed it?
It's the second one.
Okay, and he's like, look at all these books. Like basically you're gonna have some negative criticism, but like keep writing your books, keep putting your books out there. And I was like, you tell her, Ben.
We just want to take a break from the show just to have a little check-in before we go on in the show. So we actually want to talk about our sponsor for this week, BetterHelp. In 2021, it's definitely okay to talk about your mental health, about your happiness. Humans aren't meant to keep everything inside. It can make us sick, and therapy helps. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now. Maybe you need some tools to help. Maybe you've got stress, insecurity, problems in your relationship, aren't not dealing well with things going on in your life. And that's what therapy can be.
And whatever you need, don't be ashamed, because normal humans struggle and they start to feel better, and that's okay. It's good to start to feel better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers you video, phone, or a live chat session with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to.
The good thing is BetterHelp is much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about. See if it's for you, because you are your greatest asset.
So this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Hallmarkies podcast listeners can get 10% off of their first month of at betterhelp.com/Hallmarkies. That's betterhelp.com/Hallmarkies.
Gatsby. Chicago Tribune called it obviously unimportant. Yeah, and then the Three Musketeers, he's naming off all of these classics.
Yeah.
There's not one book here that hasn't been put through the ringer.
Yeah.
That's not the line, but I'm paraphrasing. And then he says, if it's in your heart, no one can touch it. I was like,
Exactly.
Man.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, that's fun.
if I was single, if you don't want him, I'll take him.
Ben Livingston.
Ben was good with words.
Ben is very, very good with words. And going off that same thing is, not only do they support each other, but they're so quick to apologize to each other.
Yeah.
Which is something that is so important if you want to make a relationship work.
Yeah.
And just they immediately
Mm-hmm.
are both apologizing, like, no, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, you're both sorry, move on.
Yeah. Have you guys heard that saying that a good marriage is made up of two good forgivers?
I have never heard that saying.
Have you heard that? Yeah, that's
Bree, have you
I
heard that?
Yeah, so
that is profound.
Yeah, just a good marriage is made up of two good forgivers, which I think all three of us having been married for at least a decade, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we know that to be true. Yes, you want to love someone well. Yes, you want to support them well in their dreams, and you call out the best in them. But you also want to forgive them when they make a mistake, because you will. And I'm going to want forgiveness when I make a mistake. And so they do that well. To your point, Kimmy, they do that well. Ben and Kara. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they really do. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's move to One Perfect Wedding.
One perfect wedding.
Perfect wedding. Now, do we wonder why it wasn't called One Winter Wedding? Was this?
Well, it's because it was released in spring. It was released in the spring fling. However, the entire movie, they're talking about the spring surprise of fresh powder.
Winter.
So here is my pitch. Why not call it One Winterish Wedding?
Winterish.
Because it's it was released in spring during spring fling, so you can't call it One Winter Wedding, but the entire, and I know this circumstance to be true because, you know, and Kari, I know you do in Chicago.
Oh yeah. Today was 80 degrees, but we're not putting away our coats yet because it could be winter could still be here.
My sister-in-law lives in Utah and she sent us a video of it snowing, you know, today. So, you know, I mean, I know that the circumstance happens, and the wedding is almost postponed because how many inches? No, it doesn't say. It just says a huge freak snowstorm. So why not call it One Winterish Wedding? You know, that way it's not winter, but it doesn't lose.
Yeah.
It doesn't lose the momentum, I guess.
Right.
I'm trying to say, you know.
Right.
I was like, is it because it's one winter weekend, one winter proposal equals one perfect wedding? Is that what I was trying to figure it out today, because
that's a good point.
I was literally like, why did we name this something totally different? But then I was like, well, maybe because Megan's trying to make everything perfect for Kara. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, well, we can talk about this in a sec too, but I mean, it did end up being a perfect wedding for them. You know, that was
it did.
Kind of a cool thing to see come together, because at first I was like, we just play fast and loose with the word perfect here on Hallmark sometimes, that I'm like, oh, we've got to put this perfect word to bed here. But it was the perfect wedding for them, which was kind of cool to see. All the details.
Turned out beautiful. Yeah, it turned out gorgeous.
It did. It turned out great. Okay, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay,
let's get this out of the way right now. The shaved head and beard. I couldn't get into it. I tried, but he is so handsome. He's so handsome with the hairstyle from the first two movies and the clean shaven look. And then I'm like, who are you? Oh, you are
right.
Were you recast? Nope, that's the same voice.
I was like, is this supposed to make him look a little older? Like, what's the deal with the shaved head? I mean, I didn't think it was hideous on him, but I was like, I miss you with the hair.
Right.
Especially when, I mean, if this was just an independent movie, that would be one thing, but it's part of a trilogy, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and they made her hair look different as well. So I think that was a little bit of a, you know, a little your hair's different, my hair's different. Time has moved on, you know. But honestly, you guys, a bald head, a shaved head is a viable hair option for men my age, which is 40. But honestly, men, their hair is thinning, and so they're like, I'm gonna shave it. So there are a lot of guys my age who they tend to go that way, and it did not bother me. It did not bother me at all.
My brother's 45, and he started losing his hair in his 20s, and he's been bald forever, but not bad.
I thought Ben pulled it off. I thought he pulled it off. He's a very handsome guy. He totally had an Andre Agassi type of vibe to me with the beard and the shaved head. I was like, he just needs a tennis racket and we are good to go. Like,
it was like a new swagger for Ben. He was like a little bit older, a little bit more confident. His business is, you know, still booming. It was different. It was
new swagger.
It was definitely different. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of bald and facial hair anyway.
Yeah.
Either one. Yeah, I mean,
you just missed the whole lumberjack phase of like 5 years ago. Okay.
I guess I did. I mean, I don't have a problem like, oh, no, you have a bald head. No, I don't have a problem with it. don't prefer it. I prefer men with hair, and I prefer men clean shaven. And so when both of them are gone from a guy that I have previously seen, I'm just like, wait a minute.
I know it's possible for you to have a full head of hair.
Yes. So, okay, so his look to you was totally different. What about like who he was as like a character? Was that?
Oh no, that was fine.
That was like totally similar. Like the Ben we knew from the last two movies was totally the Ben we knew now.
Kara was still sleuthing because she thought he was up to something.
Right.
I'm like, Ben, just tell her you want to purchase the hotel.
Yeah, okay, let's go there. The whole secrets thing, I did not think that was necessary.
I didn't either.
Why?
It felt like fluff.
Why are you trying? I mean, who are you trying to impress? This woman is gonna be your wife.
Yeah,
I know.
Why are you even trying to do that?
Okay, so let's talk about that scene. They were at lunch. They were somewhere, and he says, "A little secret here and there makes a marriage exciting," is what he said.
Yeah, it keeps things exciting.
Yeah, and she goes, "Well, it depends on the secret."
yeah.
It's like, okay, what do you girls think of that? A little secret here and there keeps the marriage exciting.
I'm with Kara. It depends on the secret.
Yeah,
I mean,
depends.
if in all of those Christmas movies when the guy has a surprise for the girl, but he doesn't say that he has a surprise for her, and
it's
so
just
she
a
thinks
surprise.
so that she thinks that he's up to no good. I
Right.
say no. But if he won't let her in the apartment and he says, "I have a surprise for you. Now go away." That's like there is a reason that you cannot come in.
Mhm.
That I feel is okay. And those are the kind of secrets that I'm fine with.
Right.
But when you won't even let them know that you're working on something,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and so
to give her
then you come off suspicious. I'm just, I'm like, no, don't do that.
What do you think, Bree?
Do you think that it was their way of trying to tackle the idea of trust? Because
I think that's
end,
exactly what it
nothing.
was. Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
In the end, it was nothing, but I guess Kara had to learn like her husband's that he says, like, if I feel like you need to know, I would have said. He wanted to wait for the deal to go through basically, and then say so. He wanted to have a happy ever after to tell her. So knowing that her husband's like that, does she now have to work on just trusting that if he has something going on, he'll eventually tell me? But then Ben, knowing that his wife wants to know, like it felt like their way of talking about trust being something that they need to talk about as a couple, but I don't feel like we really got to see them talk about it. I don't know.
We didn't get to see, but I think that's a concept that was explored.
Okay, yeah.
Because he booked the chalet for the wedding without talking to her, and she found out, and she says, "I wish we would have made that decision together." And he goes, "Right, I need to work on that, don't I?" So he acknowledged that, so and then she realizes that he wanted the deal to go through before he told her, so that he could have a happy ending to tell her. Right. So without putting it in those words, I think that's the concept that we got. Yeah. So, but I think you just put it very eloquently there, Bree. Good job.
And I will say I was a little confused because I was like, okay, we're supposed to be going to Rome, but now we're not going to Rome. So we're supposed to be at the courthouse. And now we're not going to the courthouse.
That is a little tiny bit of a critique that I have. The storyline went everywhere for the first half hour of the movie. It was making my head spin, and Ben is talking to his little sister Zoe. I'm like, sister, what happened to the brother that you learned to snowboard with? And will you be my best woman? Mom's given her blessing and dad would have been really proud. what happened to the brother? Like, what happened to the brother that you almost got thrown out of that brat restaurant with? And then, when Kara is talking to her book agent, Renee, and the book agent says that she wants a pitch on the 10th. And she said, oh, the weekend before I leave, I was kind of hoping to spend some time with Ben. And then all of a sudden, 2 scenes later, the wedding's on for that weekend. I'm like, hold it. What the heck? And we've already canceled 2 weddings.
Yeah.
So it's just that.
Yeah.
I did have an issue with that. Wait a second, people. Can we please keep the storyline consistent and go back and watch the movie so you can keep it consistent?
Well, and we have them rushing to do this wedding because they're gonna leave each other. I mean, because like they're gonna.
What happened to Asia? Asia is never mentioned again.
So he's going to Asia.
Yeah.
She's going to Europe on a book tour. And so
she'll only be gone a couple of months. And then I guess she'll go to Asia.
Yeah, she'll go to Asia. Go to Asia.
Asia's never mentioned again, though, after that one line.
Yeah, so they did. I thought they wrapped up storylines and like brought you up to speed. Yes, really fast, but they had to, in a sense, they had to cover some ground and remember this. Oh, my 3rd book, a pitch. And so, I mean, they really had to catch us up in order to get us to Clara Lake and finally be at that place where it all began. So
did you feel like they were trying to do a little bit too much? Because I loved the storyline of, oh, now I want to investigate this couple. And so then I feel like I kind of forgot about it. We weren't hearing anything about it. And then the piano singer lady, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you're the daughter of them. And I was like, really? Of course. It felt too easy.
No, honestly, I mean, you bring up such a good point. Too much. I mean, they introduced so many new characters. Five at least. Yeah. I mean, the dad, the mom. Okay, so Kara's dad, Megan's mom, Ben's sister. And we have the book agent, the piano lady, the new hotel guy. And
I love the hotel guy.
Daniel. That poor guy. He was under a sun lamp constantly. What do you know?
Like I told Ben, okay. And Zoe, I was like, okay, every scene Zoe's in, Megan and Kara are just like throwing dresses at her to carry. And I'm like, this is Ben's sister.
She's not your intern. Like, Ben's intern.
But then she encourages it. She's like, oh, no, give it to me. And
I mean, wouldn't you? I feel like I would too, like just to have a job, just to do something.
She just wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, just to be part of it.
She messes up the dress.
Oh my gosh, the dresses.
Did she mess up the dress?
She did.
Okay, because I remember when Megan tells her and she's like saying it, I was like, okay, this is going to be significant. The dresses are going to get messed up. And so when it happened, I was like, did she mess it up or did Megan?
Kara hands her the credit card and tells her the correct colors, which it was moonflower and moonstone.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Have her write it down.
Yeah.
But then she goes to the desk and she mixes it up. So, but here's my question. That wasn't a bridal gown with a huge long train. It just looked like a nice formal gown. So why didn't Megan wear that? Yeah. Because Zoe had a purple dress, and then
they were
Megan
altered. They were altered to fit their specific shape and size.
Oh, they're basically the same size.
No, they aren't. They had the 2 beautiful, distinct figures, and these 2 girls were totally different. Because I thought the same thing, and then I was like, no, this is how wedding dresses work. Alterations happen and stuff like that. That you can't just throw on. Okay, so I'm short, and I have a really tall sister, and we cannot share clothes interchangeably like that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it all worked out in the end because the scene that made me cry was the wedding dress. So,
Oh,
oh God, when her dad sees her and he starts tearing up, I was like, there I go. Now I'm crying.
oh. I love that. That's so sentimental. I mean, that was perfect. See, that's it. That's one of those perfect things. Like if I'm listing out perfect wedding things for them in this movie, that was it. You know, yes, the mix up of these dresses, but her dad had brought her mom's dress, puts a little bit of this on your wedding dress, you know, and so it was there. Like that was perfect.
Yeah.
And
They're like, how are we going to fix this?
You
How
have
are
a
we gonna
backup
fix
for
it?
my backup. Do you have a backup for this? But somebody else
Somebody
did.
else did. It was so good.
yes, that was cute.
Mama came through.
He did.
Mama came through, even though she was only there in spirit.
Yeah.
I will say this. The editing together of the scene when Zoe is telling Ben and Megan is telling Kara about the wedding can be postponed, or we can do this and we can make it work. And just the going back and forth between between these two over here and then these two over here, and then the responses being interchanged. I thought that was a really great scene. And it just shows, you know, more of the teamwork that I thought is so well done.
Yeah.
And while we're on the wedding, let's talk about the vows, because oh gosh, those vows were precious.
Well, like you said, the One Winter proposal was a really nice proposal scene. I liked this wedding, this ceremony scene. It was quite a bit. There are some that you cringe at sometimes, and you're like, oh, that is so weird. Is that it? You know, but this one, they just said such beautiful vows. And then Megan's mom, who was the officiant, she just was very poised and handled things very well. So what was the part though that you were thinking of, Cammie, the specific vows? Was it Ben's?
It was both. So I wrote down the parts of both vows that meant the most to me. We can't control what's out there. It's easier to face life's hiccups when we face them together as a team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like you were saying, Bree, it's a level of trust, and he has learned that lesson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to Kara. My father's a detective. I'm a mystery writer. But the one thing I've never had to question is your love for me.
Yeah, that was very
Thank you for everything you have shared with me, everything you will share. I'll always be willing to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was a really nice wrap up of the whole trust issues that you had pointed out, Bree. You know, just the different things that they brought to the table and were kind of suspicious of each other. They really owned that and wrapped that up well. Yeah. What did you think of the wedding scene, the vows and ceremony, Bree?
I loved it. I think most important, I just thought it was beautiful the way that it turned out. I was like, this has been a mess the entire movie. So what's it going to look like? And so when we finally get it, I mean, I was crying when she walked in and her dad saw her in her mom's dress. And then it was beautiful. And like, I think it was the perfect wrap up for their relationship that we've now, you know, been along for the ride for these three movies. But I will say, my heart was hoping that Sean would have showed up.
Okay.
I know.
Let's go there. Let's go there. Because me personally, it did not feel like a true wrap up to the story, because there wasn't the four of them there. I know he was there remotely, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And they didn't have that interaction with the four of them that made this trilogy, or I should say movie and sequel at with the first two, it set them apart. We had a foursome instead of the main couple and a side couple. It was a foursome. And so when the foursome's not there, I still enjoyed it, and I love that Sean proposed, even though it was a little odd. But my sister-in-law, one of my sisters-in-law is Canadian, and so my brother made an audio tape and recorded himself proposing and then mailed the ring. So so I guess at least this time she saw his face. So
oh wow. That's true. Okay, so I think they did the best they could, under the circumstances.
Yeah.
This may have been a movie that still was quite affected by the pandemic and COVID, and we're starting to see less and less of that, although the actors are still quarantining and things like that. But we as an audience are, there's movies now that we're not saying, oh, quarantine, green screen because of the COVID, or stuff like that. But this may have been affected because of that. I don't know. But so they did the best they could.
I think it was just a scheduling problem. I think that he just couldn't make it. So
well, who could make it up the mountain though was her mom. So that was good. That was weird. That was weird to me. It's like, mom's here and mom snowboards. So that was really cool to see her zoom down the mountain at the end. That was funny.
So Bree, Sean's absence worked, didn't work? What do you think?
I just wanted him to show up. Yeah. I mean, I got he's in Australia working, and I just kept hoping he's gonna show up for the wedding. He's going to show
the last scene or something.
Yeah, because he kept trying to. Especially when he tried to propose, and it was like some cufflinks. He was so disappointed. So I was like, just show up. So it was, like you said, we're so used to that foursome that having him not there, it just felt a little bit awkward. And Ben's talking to him on FaceTime while he's playing chess or whatever. And I'm like, he just needs to be there.
Yes.
Yeah, it was not the same. I understand that they needed to get the movie made because they've been trying to get it made for so long, but I think I would have preferred them waiting for him to be available. But yeah. So however, let's talk about what amazing friends Kara and Ben are when they have a one-day honeymoon.
Yes.
It's the morning after their wedding. And Kara has already had to pitch her third book. Shout out to wood shopping. The hallmark of a great Hallmark man. But so Kara is pitching her third book, and that look of anxiousness between the two of them when Ben comes in with the tray, and then I loved the ease. I love the ease. Yeah. He puts down the tray. Oh, thank you. Pulls her legs onto his lap. It was very sweet, very easy, and it felt like they had a very, very big connection, and you could feel that they were a newly married couple. Yeah. And then to give up their one-day honeymoon to help one of their best friends propose to their other best friend. That's what friends are for.
And at first it was kind of weird because Kara bends down and she's she's pretending to be Sean.
And
But
Ben pulls off her glove. You know?
I was like, you know what? Like, you're like her childhood best friend. If he's marrying her, he's kind of like marrying you too, and vice versa. Like these friendships are now connected. So it was a little weird at first, but I was like, I like what they did there.
Yeah. And it just shows what some people are willing to do for friendship. And that is something, because you know that these four, no matter where life takes them, they'll be back. You know, I don't know if they're going to do another movie. I would love for them to do another movie, but I don't know if they will. Yeah, but
I think that they couldn't end it just with Ben and Kara, you know, just a kiss.
No, you had to wrap
the next day. Yeah, you had to bring in Megan and Sean, you know, so they did the best they could with that. And so to end it that way, it's pretty good for me, you know.
Yeah, and you know that these four are going to be friends for life. Yeah. There's way too much history.
And there was something like I really loved Kara, but there was something about Megan. I feel like there was a lot of time spent on the growth of Megan. Like she starts out as his assistant, and then the next movie, she's like at a new company and she's like operations manager, and she can't say no to things, which is kind of a trend of hers, because that was her character arc in an Evergreen movie as well. Like somebody's like, do you ever say no to stuff?
Well, and she can't say no in this movie either.
Yeah. But it was like I really liked seeing her like finally eventually in one of the, I think it's the second movie, maybe, like the boss calls her and she's like, no, it is the second. She's like, no, let Ethan do it. Like Ethan will be great for this. And I was like, girl, you need to cut Ethan some slack. Just because you want to work all the time doesn't mean he does.
I know. But she did have some really great growth. You're so right, that as a character she grew so well and yet stayed very much the same and stayed very likable too. So I agree. There was something about Megan.
Well, and that wraps up the One Winter Trilogy.
One Winter Trilogy.
That's the name, and I'm sticking to it.
Did you catch the quote at the end of the last movie? Because they're like going down the mountain, and somebody said, I feel like they said it's all downhill from here. And somebody chimes in and is like, but it'll be a really wild ride, or like I'm in it for the wild. It was so good, but I was like, it's all downhill from here. Like I don't know if I like that part, but it was perfect. It was perfect the way that they ended it.
I loved that Sean said, just don't hit anybody, please.
Yeah.
Because she got hit in the first movie, and Megan, and then Sean got hit in the second movie. So just don't hit anybody, please.
Yeah.
That was a cute callback.
Yeah.
All right, Hallmarkies. Well, you've heard it here. The One Winter Trilogy. We hope you enjoyed going through this journey as much as we did talking about it. So, Bree, where can people find you?
I am on Instagram at Falling for Romance, where I talk about romance novels.
No.
Yeah.
With a lot of excitement.
Kari, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram as well. Come visit me at Hallmark Comics. That's Hallmark_comics.
You're so talented, Kari. I love your page.
We need to convince her to get a Twitter account.
I don't have.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Cami Drama Girl. Cami is spelled Kami. I have the Hooked Hardy Facebook page, and my blog is hookedhardy.com. You can also find me on Deliver Me a Podcast and Hardy's Hotline, where we cover Signed, Sealed, Delivered and When Calls the Heart exclusively. And we would love for you to also follow this podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. If you're listening on iTunes, please give us your ratings and reviews. And if you're watching on YouTube, which is where the fun is at, because you see all of us crack up, please please give us a thumbs up, and also please consider becoming a patron, because we love to have people join our Patreon group, and we have special events at least once a month, and so that's always lots of fun. And we hope to see you all very soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.